I came home from my shift at the Veterans Affairs Hospital to find a lockbox on my front door and a for sale sign planted in my small front yard. My condo, the one I'd lived in for 4 years, was apparently on the market. I tried my key. It still worked, thankfully. Inside, I found evidence of a showing. Business cards on the kitchen counter, the furniture rearranged, and a staging guide left on my coffee table noting remove personal items for better buyer appeal. My personal items. In my home. I called my mother. "Oh good, you saw the sign," Mom answered cheerfully. "We wanted to tell you first, but your father was so excited he just went ahead and listed it. Isn't it wonderful? Isn't what wonderful? That we're selling the condo. The market's perfect right now. Your dad's realtor friend says we can get at least $425,000, maybe more with the right buyer." I sat down slowly on my couch. The couch someone had moved 3 feet to the left for better flow. "Mom, why are you selling my condo?" "Well, it's not exactly yours, dear. It's the family's. Your grandmother's death benefit paid for it, so really it belongs to all of us. And right now, your sister needs the money more than you need all this space." My grandmother's death benefit. My grandmother, a decorated Army nurse who'd served in Vietnam, whose survivor benefits had gone to me, her only grandchild who'd followed her into military service. "What does Jessica need money for?" I asked carefully. "Her wedding, of course. And the honeymoon in Bali and the down payment on a house with Trent. The wedding alone is costing $60,000. Your father and I simply can't cover all of it, so we're selling the condo. You can find an apartment. You're single with no children. You don't need 2 bedrooms. I'm a veteran with a disability rating living in VA-subsidized housing," I said quietly. "Oh, that disability thing. Darling, you look fine. I'm sure you can work full-time once you're in a smaller place and feeling motivated. Living in such a nice condo has made you complacent." My disability thing was a traumatic brain injury and PTSD from my deployment in Afghanistan. My complacency was working 30 hours a week as a medical coordinator at the VA hospital while managing chronic migraines and anxiety attacks. But my parents had never really understood that. "When did you list the condo?" I asked. "This morning. We've already had 3 showings. Your father's so proud, he's handling it himself since he just got his real estate license last month. He's been studying so hard. Dad got his real estate license and decided his first listing would be my home. We have a showing at 6 tonight," Mom continued. "Can you make sure you're not there? It's harder to sell when the current occupant is home. And dear, maybe take those military photos off the wall. Buyers prefer neutral decor." The military photos included my grandmother in her uniform, my platoon from Afghanistan, and the commendation I'd received for evacuating wounded soldiers under fire. "I need to talk to Dad," I said. "He's with a potential buyer right now. But he'll call you later. Oh, and Kennedy, start packing. Your father's optimistic we'll have an offer by next week. You'll want to be ready to move quickly." She hung up before I could respond. I sat there for a long moment, then opened my laptop and pulled up my housing file. The one I kept meticulously organized because navigating VA benefits required documentation of everything. My condo wasn't just any property. It was purchased through the VA Specially Adapted Housing Grant, a federal program for disabled veterans. The grant had covered $101,216 of the purchase price. The property deed had specific restrictions and protections attached. My parents apparently had no idea about any of this. I called the VA housing coordinator, a woman named Patricia who'd helped me navigate the grant process 4 years ago. "Patricia, it's Kennedy Mitchell. I need help. My parents just listed my SAH property for sale without authorization." Her response was immediate and sharp. "They did what?" "For sale sign in the yard, lockbox on the door showing scheduled. My father just got his real estate license and decided to sell my condo. Does he understand it's federally protected housing? I don't think he knows it's protected at all. My mother thinks it was purchased with my grandmother's death benefit. Kennedy, this is serious. Unauthorized sale attempts of SAH properties are federal violations." "Who's the listing agent?" "My father, Robert Mitchell. He got his license last month." "Give me 30 minutes. Don't agree to anything, don't sign anything, and definitely don't move out." Hold up. 30 minutes later, my doorbell rang. A couple in their 40s stood on my porch, the woman holding a folder. Hi. We're here for the 6 o'clock showing? I'm Diane, this is my husband Paul. Is the listing agent here yet? There's been a mistake, I said. This property isn't actually for sale. Oh, but we saw it online. Robert Mitchell is the agent. He sent us the door code for the lockbox. She held up her phone showing the listing. I looked at the screen. There was my living room photographed this morning while I was at work. Listed price, $435,000. Agent, Robert Mitchell, Prestige Realty. Description, charming 2-bed, 2-bath condo perfect for first-time buyers or investors. No mention of the VA grant. No mention of the federal restrictions. No mention that the seller was illegally attempting to sell his daughter's protected housing. I'm sorry you made the trip, I said. But this is my home and it's not for sale. My father made an error. Paul frowned. An error? We've been pre-qualified for a mortgage. This is the third property we've looked at this week. I understand, but the listing is unauthorized. I'm the legal owner and I never agreed to sell. Diane's expression shifted from confused to annoyed. Is this some kind of scam? We could report this. You should report it, I said. To the state real estate board. The listing agent doesn't have authority to sell this property. They left, Diane already on her phone, probably calling their buyer's agent to complain. 20 minutes later my father arrived, his face red. Kennedy, what the hell did you just do? Diane Stevens called my broker saying you told them the condo isn't for sale. Do you know how embarrassing that is? More or less embarrassing than illegally listing your daughter's federally protected housing without her consent? He stopped. What are you talking about? Dad, sit down. We need to have a conversation you should have had before planting a for sale sign in my yard. He sat reluctantly on my rearranged couch. This condo wasn't purchased with Grandma's death benefit, I began. It was purchased using a VA specially adapted housing grant. Do you know what that is? Some kind of veteran housing thing? It's a federal grant program for disabled veterans. The government provided $101,216 toward the purchase price. In exchange, the property has permanent restrictions and protections. What kind of restrictions? The kind that mean you can't sell it without VA approval. The kind that require the property to be my primary residence as long as I need adapted housing. The kind that make unauthorized sale attempts a federal violation. Dad's face was getting paler. But you're the owner. You can sell whenever you want. I'm the owner, yes. You're not. And even I can't sell without going through the VA's approval process, notifying them of my intent and getting clearance. You definitely can't sell it. But your mother said. Mom was wrong. Grandma's survivor benefit went into my general savings. The condo was purchased through a completely separate federal program. I already have showings scheduled, Dad said weakly. 3 more tomorrow. You need to cancel them. And remove the listing immediately. Kennedy, be reasonable. Jessica needs this money. Her wedding is in 3 months. Revelation. Jessica needs money for a $60,000 wedding, so you're trying to illegally sell my disability housing? It's not illegal. I'm a licensed real estate agent now. I can list properties. You can list properties you have legal authority to sell. This isn't one of them. My phone rang. Patricia from the VA. Kennedy, I've reviewed your case. I'm conferencing in our legal department. A man's voice joined the call. Ms. Mitchell, this is David Chin, VA Housing Legal Division. Can you confirm that your property at 847 Riverside Drive, Unit 12, has been listed for sale without your authorization? Yes. My father listed it this morning. And your father is Robert Mitchell, newly licensed with Prestige Realty? That's correct. Is he present now? He's sitting right here. Can you put this on speaker? I did. Dad looked confused and increasingly nervous. Mr. Mitchell, this is David Chin with the Department of Veterans Affairs Legal Division. I'm calling about your unauthorized listing of federally protected housing at 847 Riverside Drive. Dad's voice came out strangled. I didn't know it was protected. The property was purchased using a specially adapted housing grant. The deed restrictions are public record and clearly note the federal protections. Did you review the deed before listing? Silence. Mr. Mitchell? No. My daughter owned it, so I assumed I could list it for the family. Your daughter owns it. You have no legal relationship to the property. Your attempt to sell it without authorization violates federal housing protection laws and constitutes real estate fraud. Fraud. Dad's voice cracked. You listed and attempted to sell property you have no authority to sell, misrepresenting your right to act as listing agent. That's fraud. Additionally, you failed to disclose the federal restrictions to potential buyers, which violates state real estate regulations. I didn't know about the restrictions. Ignorance isn't a defense, particularly for a licensed agent. You're required to conduct due diligence before listing any property. Patricia's voice joined in. Mr. Mitchell, I'm required to file a report with both the State Real Estate Commission and federal housing authorities. The commission will investigate whether your license should be suspended. Suspended. Dad stood up. Over a misunderstanding? Over an illegal attempt to sell federal housing, Patricia corrected. Kennedy, I need to verify. Did you authorize any showings or give your father permission to list? No. I came home to find a sign in my yard and a lockbox on my door. Did you receive any proceeds or sign any documentation? Nothing. I learned about the listing from my mother. David Chin spoke again. Mr. Mitchell, you need to remove the listing immediately and cancel all scheduled showings. You need to contact every potential buyer or agent who viewed the property and inform them the listing was unauthorized. And you need to retain a lawyer because the state board will be contacting you about your license. This is insane, Dad said. I was trying to help my family. You were trying to sell your daughter's home without her permission, Patricia said coldly. There's nothing helpful about that. After they hung up, Dad sat heavily on the couch, his face in his hands. Kennedy, you have to fix this. Fix what? Call them back. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. Tell them you gave me permission. I didn't give you permission. But Jessica's wedding is not my responsibility and definitely doesn't justify you trying to sell my home. You're really going to let them suspend my license over this? You're really going to pretend you did nothing wrong? He looked up at me, anger replacing panic. I spent 2 months studying for that license. I took the exam 3 times. This was supposed to be my second career. Then maybe you should have learned what due diligence means before listing your first property. This is your fault, he said suddenly. If you'd just told us about the VA grant, none of this would have happened. I did tell you. When I bought the condo 4 years ago, I explained the whole process. You said, that's nice, and changed the subject to Jessica's college graduation. I don't remember that. I know. You don't remember a lot of things about my service or my disability because they're not as important to you as Jessica's life milestones. Resolution. He stood up. Your mother is going to be devastated. Jessica's counting on this money. Then Jessica needs a less expensive wedding. And you need to call your broker and explain what happened before they find out from the state board. You really won't help me? I really won't lie to federal authorities to cover up your illegal listing of my disability housing. No. He left without another word. Mom called 10 minutes later, crying. Kennedy, how could you do this to your father? His license is being investigated. He could lose everything. He tried to sell my home without permission, Mom. What did you think would happen? We were trying to help Jessica. Don't you care about your sister's happiness? I care about Jessica. I don't care about funding a $60,000 wedding by making myself homeless. You're not homeless. You can get an apartment. This is my home. Adapted for my disability. Protected by federal law specifically so people can't do what you and Dad tried to do. We didn't try to do anything wrong. You tried to sell property you don't own that you had no right to list without the owner's consent. That's literally the definition of wrong. She hung up on me. Over the next week, several things happened quickly. Dad removed the listing and canceled the showings. 3 potential buyers filed complaints with Prestige Realty. His broker suspended him pending the state investigation. The State Real Estate Commission opened a formal inquiry into his license. And the VA legal department sent a formal letter to my parents explaining that any future interference with my housing would result in federal charges. Jessica called on Saturday furious. You ruined everything. Mom and Dad were going to give me $100,000 from the condo sale. Now I have to scale back the entire wedding. Jessica, they were going to make me homeless to fund your destination wedding. You could have just moved. It's not like you need that much space. It's adapted housing for my disability. It's protected by federal law. Your fake disability that you used to avoid working full-time, you mean? I hung up on her. Dad's preliminary hearing with the state board happened 3 weeks later. Patricia from the VA testified about federal housing protections and the illegality of Dad's listing. The buyers who'd been misled testified about being shown a property under false pretenses. The board suspended Dad's license for 6 months and required him to complete additional training on property law and ethics before reinstatement. Mom called me afterward. I hope you're happy. Your father's career is ruined. My father's brand new second career hit a speed bump because he didn't do basic due diligence before trying to sell his daughter's home. We were trying to help Jessica. You were trying to sacrifice my housing to fund Jessica's wedding. That's not help. That's favoritism. We've always treated you girls equally. You literally tried to sell my home to pay for Jessica's party. That's the opposite of equal. She didn't have a response to that. 2 months later, Jessica had her wedding. Scaled back significantly, local venue, half the guest list, no Bali honeymoon. She didn't invite me. Neither did my parents. I didn't mind. I spent that weekend painting my living room in my condo that was still mine because federal law had protected it when my own family wouldn't. Patricia from the VA called to check in. How are you holding up? Better than expected. Turns out boundaries feel good once you establish them. Your parents still not speaking to you? Not really. They sent a Christmas card to current resident, at my address, so that's something. She laughed. You did the right thing, Kennedy. Standing up for your housing rights protects not just you but every veteran in adapted housing. Thanks, Patricia. For everything. After we hung up, I walked through my condo. 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, wide doorways for wheelchair access I didn't currently need but might someday. A roll-in shower adapted for my worst migraine days when standing was impossible. My home. Purchased with a federal grant designed to honor my service and accommodate my disability. Protected by laws that valued my housing security over my family's wedding budget. Dad had thought he could sell it because family needed money more than I needed space. Instead, he'd learned that federal housing protections exist precisely to prevent families from doing what he'd tried to do. His license was suspended. His second career delayed. His relationship with me permanently changed. All because he'd planted a for sale sign in my yard without asking if he had the right. I took down the last business card left by a confused buyer and threw it away. My home. My rights. My boundaries finally enforced. Exactly as the law intended. The storage room at the Four Seasons Hotel hummed with the distant sounds of my father's 65th birthday celebration. I sat on a folding chair, surrounded by stacked chairs and extra tablecloths, while my sister Victoria's carefully orchestrated party played out in the grand ballroom. Dinner will be served soon, Emma, Victoria announced from the doorway, her Dior gown a stark contrast to the utilitarian space. Try not to make noise back here. The important guests might hear you. I smoothed down my simple black dress, a one-of-a-kind piece from a designer even Victoria couldn't access. Of course, Victoria. We wouldn't want to disturb your perfect party. The servants' quarters suit you, she smirked, glancing around the storage room. Though I suppose it's better than your usual. What do you call it? Your office? My phone buzzed silently. A message from Marcus, my chief operations officer. Sterling Industries acquisition of Global Tech complete. $8.2 billion deal finalized. Waiting for your signature on final documents. I smiled, thinking about the office Victoria mocked. The entire top floor of Sterling Tower, with a view that made this hotel look like a budget motel. But here I sat, playing the role of failing daughter while my sister orchestrated what she thought was the social event of the season. Victoria, my mother's voice carried from the hallway. The Richardsons are asking about Emma. I told them she's indisposed. Good save, Mother, Victoria replied. We can't have people knowing she's actually here. It would ruin the whole atmosphere. The atmosphere had cost a fortune: crystal chandeliers, premium champagne, and enough flowers to fill a botanical garden. What they didn't know was that I owned the hotel through one of Sterling Industries' subsidiaries. Every penny they'd spent on this extravagant display had ultimately gone into my company's accounts. My father's voice boomed from the ballroom. My daughter Victoria has made the Morgan name proud. She understands real business, real success. Real success. I checked my latest net worth update. $12.4 billion as of this morning. Victoria's entire year's salary as a bank VP wouldn't cover my daily investment returns. Still playing with your little tech startup? Victoria's husband Brad appeared, champagne in hand. You know, my bank is always looking for entry-level positions. Something more stable. I thought about the meeting I'd had with Brad's bank CEO last week, where they'd begged for a chance to handle Sterling Industries accounts. Thanks, Brad. I'll keep that in mind. Emma, my mother reappeared. Please try to stay quiet. Victoria has the governor sitting near this wall, and we can't have any disturbances. The governor who'd called me 3 times this week about state technology contracts. If they only knew that their embarrassing daughter was the mysterious CEO their social circle desperately tried to meet. My phone buzzed again. Marcus, legal team standing by. Global tech board ready for final signatures. Also, your father's company just tried to bid on the Richardson contract. The Richardson contract, a $500 million technology infrastructure project that my father's company thought they had locked down. They didn't know that Sterling Industries had already won it, or that their failing daughter would be announcing it next week. Look at her, I heard Victoria tell our mother outside. Sitting in storage while we celebrate. Maybe this will finally make her understand that tech dreams don't equal real success. Real success. Like the artificial intelligence platform Sterling had developed, or the quantum computing patents that had revolutionized the industry. But here I sat surrounded by spare chairs, playing the role they'd assigned me. Emma, my father's voice carried through the wall. If you're going to hide back there, at least make yourself useful. The hotel needs more champagne brought up. Victoria stuck her head in again. You heard Daddy. At least you can manage carrying boxes, right? I stood up, checking my watch, a subtle Patek Philippe that cost more than Victoria's car. Of course, sister dear. Anything to help your perfect party. As I moved toward the service elevator, my phone lit up with another message. This one made me pause. Urgent. Global tech merger requires CEO signature immediately. Legal team en route to your location. I smiled, thinking about the chaos that was about to unfold. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's success they never saw coming. The service elevator hummed as I made my way back up with cases of champagne that I technically owned. Through my earpiece, Marcus was updating me on the global tech situation. Legal team is 5 minutes out, Miss Sterling. The merger documents require immediate attention. The Asian markets open in 3 hours. Victoria was waiting when the elevator doors opened, her perfect features arranged in a practiced look of disdain. Finally, the governor was asking where his champagne was. Though I suppose this is the kind of work you're used to. If she only knew that I'd declined a dinner invitation from the governor last week because I was too busy acquiring global tech. Her precious banking connections would seem rather insignificant compared to my reality. Miss Sterling, Marcus's voice came through again. Your father's company just lost the Richardson bid. They're not taking it well. Through the storage room's door I could hear my father's booming voice. What do you mean we lost the contract? To whom? Sterling Industries? Who the hell runs that company anyway? The irony was delicious. 4 years, my father had tried to meet Sterling Industries' mysterious CEO, never knowing she was the daughter he'd banished to storage rooms and service elevators. Emma, my mother hissed, appearing suddenly. Stop dawdling with that phone. Victoria needs those bottles distributed properly. This isn't one of your little tech meetings. My little tech meetings had revolutionized 3 industries this year alone. Sterling Industries' market cap had just hit $50 billion, while my father's company was struggling to maintain its modest position. Brad says your startup is looking for investors. Victoria smirked, adjusting her diamond necklace, a pale imitation of the collection sitting in my private vault. Maybe if you're nice, he'll throw some spare change your way. My phone buzzed. A message from our PR team. Global tech merger news ready to break. Your identity as Sterling Industries CEO will be revealed simultaneously. All major networks standing by. Miss Sterling, Marcus interrupted. Legal team has arrived at the hotel. They're heading to the service entrance as instructed. I checked my watch again. Perfect timing. Through the ballroom doors I could see my father holding court, probably bragging about Victoria's latest achievements, while dismissing my existence. The servants' quarters suit you, Victoria repeated, watching me arrange champagne bottles. Though I suppose someone has to do the real work while the successful people celebrate. Successful people. I thought about the meeting I'd had yesterday with world leaders about Sterling's new clean energy technology. About the contracts worth billions that bore my signature. About the empire I'd built while they thought I was finding myself. Emma, my father's voice boomed. Where's that champagne? The governor is waiting. Coming, father, I called back, but before I could move, the storage room door burst open. Thomas Wright, our chief legal counsel, rushed in, followed by a team of lawyers and executives. Miss Sterling. Thank God we found you. The global tech merger. We need your signature immediately. The silence that followed was absolute. Victoria's champagne glass slipped from her perfectly manicured fingers, shattering against the floor. Sterling, she whispered. Thomas continued, oblivious to the family drama unfolding. The Asian markets open soon, and the $8.2 billion merger needs to be finalized. As CEO of Sterling Industries, your signature is required immediately. $8 billion. My mother choked out. I stood up slowly, smoothing down my designer dress. Of course, Thomas. The merger documents. The legal team spread the papers across a folding table, right next to the spare tablecloths and chair covers. Through the open door, I could see my father frozen in mid-conversation, his face draining of color as he processed what he was hearing. You're the CEO of Sterling Industries? Victoria's voice had risen several octaves. The Sterling Industries that just won the Richardson contract? I picked up the Mont Blanc pen Thomas offered, a gift from the Japanese Prime Minister after our last technology partnership. The very same. Though I suppose this storage room isn't really the proper place for an $8.2 billion merger signing. Shall we move this to my hotel's presidential suite? Your hotel? My mother stammered. Oh, didn't Victoria tell you? I own the Four Seasons, along with most of the properties in this city, including, I believe, the building where your bank is headquartered, Brad. The sound of running feet announced my father's arrival. He stood in the doorway, face ashen, as I signed the final document that would make Sterling Industries the largest technology company in the world. There, I said, signing the final page with a flourish. Thomas, please ensure these reach Hong Kong before the markets open. And have PR ready for the global announcement. The legal team hurried out, leaving me alone with my shell-shocked family in the storage room that had suddenly become the most interesting place in the hotel. Through the open door, I could see curious party guests gathering, drawn by the commotion. All this time, my father's voice cracked. While we thought you were struggling with some small startup, I built an empire, I finished for him. Sterling Industries. 12 subsidiaries. Operations in 43 countries. Current market capitalization. I checked my phone, just hit $52 billion after the global tech merger. Victoria had collapsed into a folding chair, her perfect composure shattered. But you take the bus to work. You live in that tiny apartment. The bus company? I own it. Testing our new autonomous transportation systems. I smiled. And that tiny apartment is the entire top floor of Sterling Tower. The building your bank tried to lease space in last month. My mother stepped forward, switching to her social damage control voice. Darling, why didn't you tell us? We're family. We could have. Could have what, mother? Supported me? Like when you banned me from family dinners because my failure might embarrass Victoria? Or when you made me use service entrances at family events? Miss Sterling, Marcus's voice came through my earpiece. Global tech announcement is live. All major networks breaking the story. Also, your father's company's stock just dropped 30% on news of the lost contracts. The ballroom screens flickered to life, displaying breaking news headlines. Sterling Industries acquires global tech in $8.2 billion deal. Mysterioso revealed. Emma Sterling emerges as tech's most powerful leader. Sterling Industries' net worth soars to $15.4 billion. My God, Brad whispered, frantically checking his phone. The Sterling account. My bank has been trying to get that for years. Yes, about that. I turned to him. Your pitch last month? Rejected. Though I particularly enjoyed your comment about my little tech hobby during the presentation. Victoria found her voice, though it trembled. The Richardson contract. Daddy's company. Lost it to Sterling Industries, yes. I adjusted my simple black dress, which suddenly everyone in the room recognized as a one-of-a-kind piece. Along with the next 5 major contracts they were bidding on. Emma. My father stepped forward, his banker's instincts kicking in. Surely we can work together now. The family name. The family name? I laughed. The one you said I was embarrassing? The one that couldn't be associated with tech dreams. I gestured to the screens showing Sterling Industries stock soaring. I built my own name, father. One that's worth considerably more than yours now. My phone buzzed again. Governor asking for an urgent meeting, Marcus reported. Also, the Asian markets are responding to the merger. Your net worth just increased by another $1 billion. Speaking of names, I continued, you might want to update the party's seating chart. It seems the governor would prefer to sit with the CEO of Sterling Industries rather than in Victoria's carefully arranged social hierarchy. Victoria flinched. The seating took weeks to plan. Yes, well, things change. I smiled. Like your husband's bank? It's now owned by one of my subsidiaries. That promotion you were bragging about earlier, Brad? I'm afraid that position no longer exists. The storage room had become strangely crowded as party guests pressed forward, trying to get a glimpse of the daughter they'd dismissed transformed into one of the world's most powerful CEOs. Miss Sterling, Sarah, my personal assistant, appeared. Your helicopter is ready on the roof. The Global Tech Board is waiting in Singapore. Helicopter, my mother whispered. Of course. You didn't think I actually took the bus to work, did you? Well, except when testing our technology. I gathered my things, including the Mont Blanc pen that had just signed an $8.2 billion deal next to spare tablecloths. Before I go, I paused at the door. Victoria, about the party budget? I'm afraid the hotel rates just tripled. Special CO surcharge. I winked. Bill me for the storage room though. It's been enlightening. As I walked toward the elevator, the main one this time, I heard Victoria's faint voice. All those times we made her use the service entrance. Oh, and father? I called back. Happy birthday. Consider this my gift, a lesson in what real success looks like. The elevator doors closed on their stunned faces, and I ascended toward my waiting helicopter. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's letting them serve themselves the humble pie they never knew they were baking. Sarah, I said as we reached the roof, send them each a copy of tomorrow's Wall Street Journal. I believe the headlines storage room to boardroom. How Emma Sterling built a $52 billion empire, might make interesting reading at their next family dinner. After all, some parties are worth waiting for, especially when you own the venue. As the helicopter lifted off from the hotel's rooftop, I watched through the window as my family remained huddled in that storage room, their perfect party forgotten. Sarah handed me a tablet showing live social media reactions to the revelation. Your sister's banking colleagues are already jumping ship, she noted with a smile. And Brad's bank shares have dropped 40% since the announcement that Sterling Industries owns their major assets. Miss Sterling, Marcus's voice came through the helicopter's communication system. Your father just tried to reach you through 5 different channels. Also, Victoria has been removed from the governor's private dinner list next week. I thought about all the times they'd hidden me away during family events, all the storage rooms and service entrances, all the dismissive comments about my little tech hobby. Now those same storage rooms would become part of business legend, the unlikely launching pad for one of the world's most powerful CEOs. One last thing, I told Sarah as Singapore's lights appeared on the horizon. Send a maintenance crew to that storage room tomorrow. Have it renovated into the Sterling Suite, the hotel's most exclusive space. After all, some rooms deserve a promotion just like some daughters. And the bill for tonight's party? Sarah asked. Send it to Victoria, I smiled. With a note, from the storage room with love. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success, it's redecorating it.